First, though, the Ulster Unionists have been making the headlines this week over their meeting, pact strategy, the lead as desired, with the TUV. The DUP called it a sad spectacle of truly odd proportions. The UUP leader is with me. Sir Reg, it's been hard to avoid the impression recently that your party is flailing around a bit. You're courting the Tories, you're courting the TUV, you're cancelling or delaying your conference, you're annoying or alienating your sole Westminster MP. Is it, as Naomi Long has characterised it, a rudderless ship at the moment?
It's far from rudderless, and if you look at our electoral performance this year, it has indicated that the electorate don't think it's rudderless. Everybody, of course, attacks the Ulster Unionist Party because they really don't want us around, because the Alliance Party is looking to get our support, and it's flip-flopping. A few weeks ago, its leader was saying they wouldn't consider participating as Justice Minister, and I won't answer a question about it. As far as the DUP is concerned, we've got to remember that Mr Allister was their candidate, and I reserve the right to meet with any political party. I understood that we were now in the era of inclusivity. And is it not the case that the reason the DUP are so agitated about it is because Mr Allister is their problem? And as far as I'm concerned...
But I mean, strange bedfellows, Sir Reg. Jim Allister just yesterday described the Assembly as a dysfunctional, fractious, peevish regime which daily looks increasingly irrelevant and divorced from local need. Do you want to be sharing an election platform with that?
Well, first of all, we are not sharing an election platform.
An election strategy.
What we have simply said is a voting strategy. And the question I have to ask, does the DUP disagree with the proposition that unionists should transfer amongst themselves? We have not entered a pact. We won't be entering a pact with Mr Allister. All we have simply said is that in order to secure the maximum unionist representation in the European Parliament, we would advise our respective supporters to vote for other
Well, you could have said that without going and having a meeting with him, couldn't you? I mean, where do you stand on his view of the Assembly? And it gives something similar every day as dysfunctional, fractious and peevish.
Well, the fact is, as it stands, we're not doing a pretty good job of opposing that view. But the fact is that we have opposed Mr Allister's views.
Well, you don't oppose it by going to meetings with him.
I'm sorry. I sit in an executive, so does the DUP, with people who've terrorist convictions, people who are escapees from Her Majesty's prisons, people who were self-confessed commanders of the IRA. Now, let's focus on that. Are you saying that it's all right for me to sit with those guys and for the DUP to sit for those guys, but I'm not allowed to talk to an elected
I'm suggesting, other people are suggesting that in terms of an overall unionist strategy, here's a part of the TUV which seems on the surface of it to be totally opposed to everything you stand for, more opposed than Sinn Féin.
This is about Europe we're talking. This is about Europe. And we're in the business of trying to maximise our pro-union representation. That's what my party exists to do and has done since the council was formed in 1905. We are there to maximise the pro-union vote. I want to broaden the base for the number of people who will transfer within the unionist
camp. But where's the common ground between you and the TUV?
On two issues there's common ground. One, we both support the union, and two, we oppose the Lisbon Treaty. On this particular issue, those are the only issues. But as far as the Assembly and Mr Allister's approach, don't forget, we fought him and will continue to fight him. And when the current DUP members who are attacking him and attacking this are the same people who stood and cheered with their arms in the air when he was elected in 2004. Yeah.
But however you characterise it as about Europe, as about those two specific areas, you must well know that in the public eye it's perceived as something completely different. Well, it's perceived as you getting into bed with the TUV, who are completely opposed to the Good Friday Agreement, the St Andrews Agreement and everything that flows from it.
And so was the DUP. But they're now sitting with Sinn Féin. The difference is that Mr Allister can claim with some justification that he has defended the TUP manifesto when the DUP ran away from it. But look, we do share different values. We have a different approach to unionism. Jim Nicholson represents moderate unionism in the European Parliament, and I believe he should continue to do so. But I am also aware that I have a wider remit, which is to ensure the maximisation of unionist representation. Remember, the unionist representation in Parliament is dropping, in the Assembly is dropping, in local government is dropping, and I don't want the same thing to happen in Europe.
It'll drop even more if you get into bed with the Conservatives, of course.
Well, look, we are having discussions with the Conservatives, and one of the reasons why we're being attacked by Alliance and DUP, particularly on this issue, is because they don't want that. They don't want us to be linked with a national party that has a real chance of forming government.
Neither does your own only MP, of course.
Lady Herman's part of the working group. She has made it clear that she will make up her mind, as will we all.
Well, she's made it pretty clear that she'd rather get into bed, metaphorically speaking, with the Labour Party than with the Tory Party.
If you look at her voting record, it is consistent with that. She will make up her mind, as will our party.
No, but she's been speaking very glowingly about Gordon Brown and his management of the current crisis.
Fair enough. Just because you speak in positive terms about the Prime Minister doesn't mean that you're forever wedded to his party. What I'm saying to you is that we will make up our mind, as will she, when we see the total picture. And that's the sensible thing to do, and that's our party will make up its mind at that stage.
All right, well, if you make up your mind that it's a good thing to merge and she makes up her mind that it's not, what will happen? Will you go ahead without her? Would you stand a joint Conservative and Unionist candidate in North Down against your standing MP?
Our party will make up its mind when it's in possession of all the facts. I haven't any recommendation to put forward at this stage because we haven't concluded our talks. After all, I only started our party consultation this week. We've only had our first meeting. And we made our statement in the summer, we had the recess, and we've only been at this a few weeks. I think people have got to wait and see. But the interesting point is, the reason why there's so much hullabaloo from the other parties about this is because they see the risks themselves. And it's perfectly clear, and we have polling evidence to prove it, that large slices of DUP and Alliance supporters agree with this proposal if it were to come around. And that's what's worrying them. That's why they're making such a big issue. I have a meeting with Mr Alistair. I disagree strongly with him on a whole range of issues. The only thing we have in common, in a sense, is that he told the electorate before they voted for him what he was going to do. After he was elected, as did we. And unfortunately, the party that he was part of is standing on his head. So that's the big reason why there's such a fuss about it.
All right.